What is up, you guys? It is Wednesday. It is March 26, 2025. I just woke up and there's serious news that you guys need to know about. Let's get into it. Days after the Signal leak, the Pentagon warned that the app was the target of hackers. So the Signal app is the app that the Secretary of Defense, National Security, everyone that was on this group chat that accidentally added a journalist to it. That app, the Pentagon warned the app was the target of hackers. I also want to let you guys know that when this email or this text that went out between this group chat, it was March 15th, which happened to be my birthday, but nonetheless. One of the recipients, Steve Witkoff, who did the negotiations for the ceasefire, for all this stuff. Basically, Trump's like real estate agent, is from what my understanding is. Steve Witkoff was in Russia. He was in the Kremlin receiving this text, this group text saying that the US just did bombings in Yemen. He was in the Kremlin receiving that text. And then days later, target of hackers. Let me read you what this article says. It is incredible. The stupidity, the lack of carelessness, like the carelessness of all of this amongst a group that is entrusted with the security, the national security of this country. And they had the audacity to kind of brush it off and say, well, number one, some of them denied it completely. And number two, to not see that this was such a huge issue and the integrity of their word matters more about what the repercussions could be on them. Does that make sense? Let's get into it. Several days after a top national security official accidentally included a reporter in a Signal chat about bombing Yemen, a Pentagon-wide advisory warned against using the messaging app even for unclassified information. So yesterday in the Senate committee, right, these fools were in front of the Senate and were answering questions. The Republicans barely even asked any questions about this. It was more the Democrats that wanted to. And they basically said it wasn't classified information. But they're on their personal phones. Make it make sense. A vulnerability has been identified in the Signal Messenger application, begins the department-wide email dated March 18th and obtained by NPR. The memo continues, Russian professional hacking groups are employing the linked devices features to spy on encrypted conversations. It notes that Google has identified Russian hacking groups that are targeting Signal Messenger to spy on persons of interest. Moreover, a memo back in 2023 identified a memo in 2022 obtained by NPR also warned of using Signal for non-public official information. A Signal spokesperson said the Pentagon memo is not about the messaging app's level of security, but rather that the users of the service should be aware what are known as phishing attacks. That's when hackers try to gain access to sensitive information through impersonation or other deceptive tricks. Once we learned that Signal users were being targeted and how they were being targeted, we introduced additional safeguards and in-app warnings to help protect people from falling victim to phishing attacks. This work was completed months ago, says Signal spokesperson June Harada. The March 18, 2025 Pentagon memo adds, quote, please note, third-party messaging apps, example, Signal, are permitted by policy for unclassified accountability recall exercises, but are not approved to process or store non-public unclassified information. So that in itself, even though this memo went out afterwards, it doesn't matter. They knew enough to say, don't even send non-public unclassified information. The encrypted Signal app is what Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and other leading national security officials within the administration used to discuss bombing Houthi sites this month. The Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, was inadvertently added to the group and was privy to the highly sensitive discussions. In the military, sending classified data over insecure channels is called, quote, spillage. It can be career ender for a military officer. In the military, in 2023, Defense Department memo prohibited use of mobile applications for even controlled, unclassified information, which is many degrees less important than information about ongoing military operations. There's almost no precedent for the heads of defense, state, intelligence, and national security to be sharing such sensitive military intelligence in a form that was known to be unsecure. These are things that are absolutely basic. John Bolton, former national security advisor during the first Trump administration, told NPR's Here Now. Yet these are cabinet level people in our government, and yet not one of them ever said, why are we on Signal? You guys, it's not enough to say that they lack the intelligence, the irony there. It's the fact that they rather lie, dismiss, and brush off the fact that it wasn't a big deal. Lying about it makes it even worse, because these people are entrusted with the safety and security of the country, not their own hides. Sound off below. Tell me what you guys think. This is a big one.